welcome to the Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe. Hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a Ko-Fi, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and X. Now we are joined by Brian, Click OK, Neil, the Adam Price, Sensual Goat, and a whole bunch of people in the Flat Earth Debate Discord server. So, welcome one and all.
How are you?
Morning.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Wow, what a lot of people. Friday was like, the place was deserted. It was absolutely sweltering hot on the last show. I was so hot and sweaty. By the time the show finished, I just went to lie down with a fan on me. I don't even think I made a thumbnail for it. It got some praise. In fact, you got some praise for Friday's show, Neil. Somebody in the comments was like, look what happens when Neil gets Nathan all to himself. The content's great. So I can only assume people like... I haven't listened back to Friday's show. I can only assume it was good because I did read the comment. But there we go. So everyone else should be me and Neil only. I don't know how you all feel about that. Well, that's informative. I'm glad you all expressed your views on the nature of Neil and my relationship together. I'm glad you're all...
You didn't give anybody a chance to speak. Just jump right in. People were contemplating, and before anybody could even answer, you cut us off. Well done, QE.
Well, 4.5 seconds of silence, I'll have you know.
It was actually
People's
1.3 seconds.
Go ahead, whoever that was from Discord.
Neil's the people's favorite. That's why.
Yeah, Neil's ace.
He says what we all think, and sometimes.
Absolutely, he's the voice of the audience. When he's interrupting, going, nah, there's just no freaking way. He's the voice of the audience who is saying that into the screen. Now, obviously, Neil's here, and that does actually disturb proceedings, but nevertheless, he's still the voice of the audience. You can't get just a compliment, Neil. That would be unfair on the others.
I wouldn't know how to feel with a compliment. All right? Let's just get on with it. Now, I think we should go over that video that Liam posted. Very relevant.
The Answers in Genesis video.
Yeah, because this is their grimy work. This is all Danny Faulkner was out to do. What you're going to hear right there.
Is that Danny point of measurements, Faulkner? That Danny?
Let's not tarnish the well too much. So somebody got in touch with me via PayPal. They're like, here's $20, $50, whatever they gave me. I think it was $50. And with a message that said, would you debate Danny Faulkner with QE for a couple of hours? Can you ask him? I'm like, yeah, sure. So I got back in touch with QE and I'm like, I just sent him a screenshot, actually. It was the quickest and easiest way. If you're that person, I'm sorry. It's just the easiest and quickest way to communicate with QE. Anyway, I sent him it, and his response was like, Brian's words out of QE's mouth. It was like, $2,000! I'm like, okay, whatever. So I just got back in touch and said, look, QE would do it for a couple of grand. That was his sentiment. However, right, I'm a lot cheaper. I didn't say this to him. I'm like, what I know will succeed in me actually getting paid to do these sorts of things when someone comes along and says, hey, would you have this debate? I'm willing to pay. Is to find out what they're trying to achieve, how well they know the individual that they're suggesting they can pay. It's like, are you a friend of Danny's? What's the deal? Like, now I'm waiting for his response in that regard. He doesn't have to keep paying me to have that conversation. But when somebody does drop $50 on you, it's not a great deal of money. It's just, well, I mean, it might be to some people. It is to me, actually. It's very, very useful when you're broke. But that's not the point I'm making here. The point I'm making is it definitely gets your attention. And when they're suggesting, no, I'll make it worth your while monetarily, and then QE comes back with a figure, you're like, well, there you go. There's the reaction of QE. In other words, is at the very least suggesting you'd be willing for payment. Now, whatever, I don't care either way. I've got no horse in that race, essentially. With Danny Faulkner, it's a Christian argument that I'll engage in the Christian arguments where I've got a limited knowledge because I had a very, very, very Christian upbringing. But it doesn't mean that I'm necessarily engaged in that on that score in the way that you might be or QE might be. Now, QE, in terms of his attitude towards that stuff, is like, I'll do it, you know, if you want to tag along or if you wanted to do it off your own back. Either way, I'm not fussed, I think QE's general response to it. But I'm up for having debates with Danny Faulkner. He's come in and he's spoken to us. And from memory, he's got compliments out of me. I'm not that Mr. Memory that people know I'm not, but I vaguely remember complimenting Danny Faulkner. I can't remember what for, but it stuck in my mind that I've given him kudos for something. In other words,
yeah, because he was patient and waiting and thinking about every answer. You complimented him that he didn't just blurt anything right out. Because I didn't know it was Danny Faulkner that Refracted was speaking to at the time.
Fine. So he got compliments for just being measured, even though there was protracted silences, which he got away with because of his measured nature. Okay, I can't remember that being something I'd see as complimentary. Maybe I was pushing to compliment him. Nevertheless, you know, Danny Faulkner, from my limited interactions and memory of the guy, isn't an egregious prick from memory. Unless someone's going to correct me. I'm sure his arguments are extremely egregious. Don't correct me on argumentation. I'm just saying, if we're going to start the show off talking about was it in the pre-show or the live show that we were talking about the person?
No, he's a perfect gentleman, Nathan, if that's what you're getting at. Yes.
Well, that's good. That means that it's an opportunity to show the degenerate nature of Quantum and Racer and I if he has a better temperament to hold. But I just don't think he'd be weaselly enough to try and screw QE or I into a battle of personalities in terms of who's the biggest shyster. Because, I don't know, Danny Faulkner just never struck me as that type of guy.
Are you...
Wait, Brian, 1 second. Is Danny the one that's asking for the debate?
No, somebody ancillary, as I suggested that I
Forget
have
it.
a
Danny's
debate.
not going to accept it. You got me. That's a dream. He will never debate you guys. Forget about that.
How do you know? You don't have a crystal ball. Go ahead, Brian.
I don't know. I can't believe what I'm hearing now. Danny Faulkner is the biggest back pisser in the history of back pissers, right? He's very, very, very polite to you while he's pissing directly down your back. And telling
no
you
doubt.
right? He doesn't deserve any praise, right? He deserves zero praise. He's a bullshitter. End of story. Who's pushing lies for years? And I'm not just talking about to do with Christianity. I'm talking about to do with the nature of the world we live in.
Sure.
He's
Yeah,
not
but
going
he's
to
a
get any
perfect gentleman while
compliments out of
Hold
me,
on,
that's
Neil.
for sure.
Chill, Neil. Go ahead, Brian.
He's not getting. Yeah, he's not going to get any compliments out of me. That's for sure. He might get if he's lucky. If he's lucky, he'll get an insult.
You get what?
An insult.
I mean, I don't think it's necessary. I mean, I just think we're past that with these people. I know what you're saying. He'll be pissing down your back and telling you it's raining.
Why are you smiling at you?
Yes, indeed. What's the
Those are the worst kind. Brian is right. You could be a gentleman all you want, but if you're pissing down my back, smiling and doing it with a great attitude and with, extreme politeness, then you're the worst kind.
Maybe. But let's be realistic here, right? Brian, I'm just talking to Brian just for a second. We've won.
Yes.
If you ever wanted to perceive there to be a debate, discussion, fight, argument, we've won it, haven't we?
Yes. We have on the inside. That is true. The consensus don't know that yet.
So at this late stage in the game, if you want to see it as that, a game, well, if they have to piss down our back and lie to the audience themselves and pretend that they're not lying to us, that's pissing down your back and pretending it's raining, by the way, then so be it. We've already won. There's only one reason they're still making videos about us, they're still talking about us, and the final experiment wasn't final. There's only one reason. It's because we won. That's it. So who cares? All right. Do I need to rip my dick off? I can just walk away from them. What do you know? Do you know what they do when you walk away from them? McToon's a perfect example, and so's cats, right? This is the reason why I count the number of times I give a rebuttal. I've been doing this 10 years. I'm used to dealing with these numpties. Cats, it sent him nuts. He gave up his channel. And what do you know? The exact same pattern was repeated by the person he gave up his channel to. That's McToon. He's currently at a hash 103 times being told he's measured Earth flat with elevation angles. Now, you saying Earth ain't measured flat with these flat Earth elevation angles, that's the equivalent in a raw base form that would never come out of the lips of the people who are actually doing this. It's far more subtle. Well, or not, depending on where you want to look at it. But the point is that if I step away from that, what Brian's calling backpissing, with an example, no, it's not flat when I measure it flat. Okay, I'll walk over here then. Good for you. It's not flat when you measure it flat. Okay, fine. No worries. Bye-bye. What do you know? 10 minutes later, they're back behind you, pissing on you again. You're like, what are you doing here? Okay, I'll just count the number of times and point out there's only one reason you want to piss down my back. Because you want to believe it's raining, don't you? Now it seems embarrassing that you're peeing down my back, doesn't it? Because you're the one with the delusion that it's raining when everyone around you just sees a sad old tosser urinating on another man. Because that's what's happening. Yeah, okay. So is it embarrassing for me that you, the sad tosser, follow me around this stadium pissing on me from slightly higher up in the stalls? No, eventually everyone just looks at you like a man urinating on another man that's trying to walk away from you. That's what cats did. Now, eventually, when you realise that you're that guy, that you can't stop yourself, that you're proactively chasing after other men to urinate on them, metaphorically speaking, it becomes intolerably mentally difficult. That's what cats had to face, yeah? Sent him so nuts, he started to see ghosts. Or so I hear. Either way, you can do that. Now, me, I'll be that martyr. Fine, no worries. What's that? You want me to stand here while you piss on me? Okay, I mean, I've tried walking away 103 times, but it doesn't seem to matter. You still want to believe it's raining, then you're delusional. Now, recognise that the people around you are just looking at you. And, yes, they are probably looking at me with pity because I'm having to have piss all over me. But they're still looking at you, chasing a man around a stadium, pissing on him. That's what's happening currently. Right, Brian? It's your analogy. I had to roll in with it.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, right? They just keep coming after you and pissing down your back, and because they need to believe that it is really raining. That was very, very good. My issue with when I came in there earlier was because you were talking about how you were given the impression that Danny Faulkner was some kind of a good guy or had some good traits. He doesn't. He's a liar. Just because he's polite when he's telling you a lie or he's pissing down your back or whatever, right, doesn't make him a good guy. That makes him anything but good. There's nothing. He doesn't deserve a compliment.
No, he doesn't. But there's certain people who make a lot of money out of having piss rolled off their back. Now, I'm saying slightly deviant from the metaphor, deviant being the appropriate word, when I talk about this in the most literal sense. Graphic though people may find this. Your metaphor, not mine, Brian. I'm just trying to take it into a reality, right? The people in Soho that get, paid a lot of money for that sort of thing, if you know what I'm talking about. Okay, well, fine. If I've got no choice but to have people pee down my back, I'm going to take a coin for it. Now, when people moan about my mute button here, it's like, you don't seem to understand what's happening. You want to pee down my back, and when you do it, I monetize it on my channel. What's that? You want to come and urinate down my back for other people to pay you watching you do it? You delusional numpties. Now, if on the other hand, people pay me a sum of money to go somewhere else to do it, it's like that whore that gets pissed on. Yeah, it's slightly higher risk when they go to the other man's hotel room, but as long as they're getting paid a handsome sum, they'll take that risk. That's me. All right, you want me to go and debate this numpty who wants to piss down my back and tell me it's raining? Okay, pay me. Yeah, I'll be that whore, metaphorically speaking. Now, other people have heard me make this analogy in the past, the same analogy, and I'm getting to make it and blame it on Brian, so I'm going to do it now, because I get to blame Brian. But that's what it is, yeah? Because I don't care. I don't need to convert these numpties, and I don't need them to express their pain onto me, right? But if I'm being paid and I've got struggles and I've got bills to pay, mortgage to pay, bills to pay, like everybody, and that's the means that I can accumulate cash, I'll do that. That's what I'll have to do, yeah, rather than disappear into the night. Now, it annoys them greatly. They want to blame mute buttons. They want to call me a child abuser. They want to suggest that I lie or I'm a scammer. All of these things don't alter the argument that doesn't exist anymore because of the things we're currently saying. We're saying there was never discussions when the earth that's measured creates a ball for you to believe in and the earth that's measured is flat. That means there was never an argument to begin with. In fact, there's a relinquishment of your ball belief if you deny the earth's flat because you're going to have to measure it that way to create your ball to believe in. So it's not like it was ever a discussion. Either accept that it's measured flat, earth that is, because your ball earth's based on it, or don't. But if you want to call me a liar, child abuser, say I mute people, say I'm a shill, say I'm a con man, a grifter, because I point out that we measure Earth flat with celestial navigation, that distance measurements are linear, that maps are flat, that east is flat, that west is flat, that north and south are flat. Those are facts. And me spitting them doesn't mean you have to piss down my back and tell me that, no, south's down, it's down, not a ball. Well, okay, you can believe that stupid nonsense, and you can call me a child abuser because I'm pointing out that it's wrong. No, you're incorrect. South is a flat direction. Yeah? When you fly in straight and level flight with respect to a plane, you measure your height above sea level for an entirety of a journey across the flat plane we dwell atop and have measured to fly across it and measure it flat in real time with pitch data that's presented to these numpties who piss down our backs and ignore what we point out in terms of Earth measurements so they can land on a continent and measure flat Earth elevation angles for a 24-hour period to the sun to tell us that they don't have a flat Earth. That's this idiotic scenario that we find ourselves in. Now, we all know how stupid and idiotic it is, but the people around us, unfortunately, want to watch other men piss on other men because they say it's flat, so that the men can believe that the flat Earth they measured isn't conducive with a flat Earth. This idiocy can only continue so long. Now, we, unfortunately, are in that position where, yeah, we're the ones getting pissed on. But as long as I get paid, I'll tolerate it.
Yeah, but is Danny Faulkner worth the $2,000, Brian? Is he one of the higher guys or no?
The money is not, no, Neil. It's not about, the money is not about the worth of the person debating, or you're going to debate, or your work in the debate. It's about your time. That's why my fee, unless it's worth it, unless it's a situation that's going to be really beneficial, or it's really crucial, then I charge €5,000 for 2 hours of my time, or €3,000 for 1 hour of my time. Because it's about my time. If I want to give up my time to talk to one of these lawyers and have my time wasted for an hour or 2 hours, then I want to get paid for it. If my time is not being wasted, as in if I'm on a platform that's worth being on because it's very, very big, then I will forego things like that. But if I'm not on Candace Owens or something, then it's going to be 5,000 for a 2 hour debate. I don't care whether my quality of debate is worth
Exactly. If the whatever podcast want me in to talk about what a total whore I am, I'll do it for free. Because that's fair play, right?
I'm talking to Brian because he once said he would get in front of a university. He would do it no problem because he's speaking to the right people and he's happy with that platform. Does Danny Faulkner fit into that? Because he has an influence over a lot of people.
Well, Danny Faulkner himself, not so much. But who he can influence and what, yeah, he's kind of teetering on the line up to a point because, well, yes and no, I don't know. For me, Danny Faulkner is just a lawyer, and I don't know. I'd have to have thought about that because what is he? He's just another bowler. That's
Yeah.
really all he is.
Exactly.
So,
It's just another baller.
no.
When you ask how much influence does he have, it's like, well, who cares? The Western world rhetoric, or the world rhetoric, is a ball. Do we need people to influence people onto the ball? No, they're already there. Before they've even recognised their common first primary language, they've probably seen images of heliocentric religious worldviews. So you don't need influencers, but these tossers that go out to influence the world into believing they're on a ball, it's like, hello. I mean, don't get me wrong, you're propped up by the algorithm, and from a YouTube perspective, I'm very jealous. You're like, man, you get all the algorithmic favoritism that I would ever want and never receive because of the evergreen subject I've picked, and you're in the evergreen subject too, soaking up the views for the opposing side. Well, I mean, that's just jealousy on my part if I moan about it from a YouTube point of view, but from a realistic worldview, you're out there promoting that everyone already believes. It's like walking along and seeing everybody understanding that they're breathing and that they need oxygen. So everybody that you encounter, let's just assume that everybody's been educated in this fact that they're breathing air and they need it to live. You know, their lungs move in and out, everyone understands, and you go, you know, I'm going to start a channel telling people that they need air to breathe. Well, why would you do that? Everybody already understands this. As far as you are concerned, everybody already knows they're on a ball. It's the Western world religion. As we point out, Earth's measured flat to create it. But you need to go out of your way to make sure people already know this when they're already indoctrinated into it from birth. They're being reaffirmed into their already existent belief by these numpties. You're like, okay, why? A bit overkill, do you not think, when you stand back and analyse it, if you understand it to be true? But therein lies the paradox. They don't know it's true, and that's why they're really here. To project that lack of real true faith onto us about our faith in a flat earth. So then you need to make flat earth into a faith and a belief rather than what we talk about, which is earth being measured flat, to create the ball belief that they hold, that they aren't so confident in, and to conclude, project onto us that lack of faith.
They need to believe the emperor is not naked. Everyone needs to believe that. And they go around and tell everyone how the clothes that you can't see are made in the wardrobes of Narnia.
No, gravity is a force. But gravity is a force, John. Oh, sorry, were you talking about clothes? Yeah. Sorry, my brain went somewhere else. I don't know why.
Yeah, but the thing is this, right? Based off of what John has said and what you just said, Nathan. The main thing is this. If it was real, we wouldn't need to promote it so much. The only reason they need to promote it is because it's not real. They constantly have to reaffirm it. Every influencer now is using the word global constantly. You never hear them say the whole world or across the world or the face of the earth, anything like that. It's always globe, global, globe, globe, because it's all reaffirmment for something that doesn't exist. I don't need to start a YouTube channel about breathing. It's fully understood that we need air, right? And we breathe air to live. Nobody needs a YouTube channel on that matter. So if it's fully understood and without a doubt of truth and the fact that the Earth is a rotating sphere in a heliocentric sky vacuum, then why do you need to continually promote and affirm it, even to the point of getting there's even the biggest conspiracy influencers out there on the internet trying to use the word globe and global as much as possible, and even mentioning us as in flat earthers, looking for us to meet them somewhat halfway, because there is no globe. It doesn't exist outside of a belief. And that's why they have to continually promote it. It's non-stop, the promotion.
And that is my attitude, right?
1 second. Just 1 second.
Go ahead.
At the moment, there's a lot of stuff going on with the US government and the Epstein files. And then there's two wars. Well, there's a war and a genocide going on. And there's this thing going on and that thing going on. And while all of that is going on, and all the other stuff that went on 10 years ago, and all the stuff that will be going on in 10 years' time, while all that's happening, they'll still all be saying it's a globe.
Yeah.
The point being is that this is, no matter what's going on, the main thing to protect is the globe. Always the main thing to protect. And they protect it in silence and by subtle promotion. Sorry, Nathan, go on.
No, you're absolutely correct. I mean, we've done it from the reverse point of view. There's an agenda to dumb down what flat earthers are and what we represent, and we're now taking it from the opposite point of view. There's a need to constantly affirm the aspect of global belief when, if it were true, you'd have absolutely no need whatsoever to promote it. There'd be no need to explain it, and we'd be as inconsequential as the ghost hunters or the Bigfoot hunters. Now, we're not. We're seen as a threat that needs censorship, and there's incentivization put in place through algorithmic favoritism of anti-flat earthers that literally financially incentivizes people to keep an argument perceived in the mind's eye of the public. Now, that is fine if you want to be a believer in a flat earth, but we here specifically at Flat Earth Debate have moved beyond that in the last few years. There's a surface level that is a requirement for all measurement. There's a geometry and an aspect, that's flat, of Earth that is utilised in every single measurement of Earth always. Now, it's not that we should be engaged in any discussion anymore. We shouldn't, because there isn't a discussion to have. And any discussion becomes absurd when you point out that our opponent, if there's one to be perceived, measures the Earth the same as we do. So when we're all measuring Earth flat, why would we entertain an argument? It's like, that's why for the last, 2 years, we have been hated by our own side when we point out feasts of nonsense, as we've labelled it, argumentation that only assists the perception that there's a debate to even have when Earth's measured flat. If you're going to argue about seeing too far and how an angular size on a globe and how a distance that's only measurable on a flat would be further on a globe, all of these nonsensical arguments that we now highlight seem ridiculous. Now, for us, back in the day, it seemed pertinent to attack our own, perceived to be group flat earthers, when they entertain these globe-affirming or false dichotomy creating arguments. Now it's like, I believe what you like. It's measured flat regardless. If you want to start telling me I'm wrong, it's like, well, then you disavow all of the useful measurements that you're going to be utilising to suggest Earth's a ball. I mean, currently there's a fast down in Antarctica, down being the outward direction that's actually south. Look at a compass, it's flat, Earth's flat, South's flat. But for these numpties that thought they went down on a ball, when ignoring everything I've just said in the last 25 seconds, and then flying across a flat plane that Brian went to great lengths to point out is measured flat when they measure the elevation off surface level for straight and level flight with respect to sea level that's measured all the way to this southerly flat Earth direction. When they landed, just to tell themselves that Earth isn't flat, they spent prolonged periods levelling tools with respect to a plane of reference to weigh things in a downward orientation perpendicular to horizontal, and measuring surface level with respect to an angle to the sun for a 24-hour period. In other words, they made multiple flat Earth measurements to tell themselves that Earth weren't flat. Now, for me, it just sounds like we're dealing with the mentally deranged when they engage in this behaviour. Now, like I say, it's financially incentivised on YouTube. It doesn't change the idiocy of it when you stand back and actually look at what's happening. Go ahead.
Yeah, but you did the same thing. You said you don't care what you believe. That's what they focus on all the time, is belief, belief, belief. And that's why they never bring up the measurements. But this video covers both sides.
What the?
I don't want to get in the way of the video being played, right? I just want to, so I don't want to take up too much time. But if we kept on talking about Nathan's red car, and Nathan has photographs of a red car, or diagrams, not photographs, diagrams and composites of a red car in a garage, right? And everyone talks about Nathan's red car, but Nathan never actually produces that red car. Does that pretty much means that there is no red car, right? Simple as. Nathan doesn't own the red Ferrari that we're all attributing to.
All right. Don't rub it in.
No, Jared owns it now. Yeah, but that's another thing too. Brian, you said that we don't need videos, right? Telling us how to breathe or showing us how we breathe. It's a natural thing. Unless people showed you videos of a place where people did not really have to breathe the way they do here. Then there would be a big thing about it, right?
Well, how can they do that? It's all, like nobody would accept that.
Oh, Neil's just picked up where I was going earlier. See, Neil is paying attention. Subtle. What's that? Where would such an area that the breathing process that we're all accustomed to and know happens constantly that I exampled earlier, Neil? Well done. You're saying there's a different area that's not like that? Where would such an area like that be, Neil?
Beyond the horizon. Or Narnia.
Well, no, because we still need to breathe, no matter what. Whether it's, if you're talking about a sky vacuum, we still need to breathe. Just because it's, you know what I mean?
Narnia is 99.97% nitrogen. There's almost no oxygen there. White Witch doesn't need it, neither does Aslan, neither do the Fawns. None of them actually breathe oxygen. Did you not know that about? Have you never read C.S. Lewis?
Yeah, but that's the thing, right? Once they get the video, and Brian, you say it all the time, 1969, that was locking it in now. Now, all the propaganda before, it's locked in now.
Really sweet, mate.
And
My eldest...
Just to briefly
Just
go
want to
back
say, while we're on the subject of Narnia,
Sorry.
my eldest daughter's reading the Chronicles of Narnia, or I think she's currently on Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, just by pure coincidence. And she's reading these stories to my youngest daughter, Clover. So she's hearing the betrayal of, is it Edmund? She's hearing that and horrified at the circumstance. She can't quite believe how easily duped he was and how sucked he was just with the Turkish delight.
Turkish delight.
Right? So it's just, I don't know, it brings me such joy to see the contemplation of these brilliant stories that are laid out in specifically The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe. You know, these stories are just based on Christ, and a lot of them are just biblical stories that are just respun, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely.
It's just beautiful to see.
Well,
I'm sorry for that aside. I'm just being a baby boy. Go ahead, Brian.
No, you're fine, Nathan. I can understand it. I just don't want the point of what I said earlier on to Neil to be lost. When you were asking me, is Daniel Faulkner worth 2,000 or something like that? Now, I didn't know what you mean. It's like, is QE's time worth 2,000? You know what I mean? To debate Daniel Faulkner would be more of the right question. But when I say to you, he's just another baller, what I mean is that he can try and be someone else, but technically he's just another baller on the circuit. He hangs around on Discord. No matter what he tries to be in his own, with his own ilk and his books and all the rest of it, he's just another worried baller who's hanging around on Discord. And that's all he actually is. I would prefer to debate Mick West, for example. I'll definitely Brian Cox, someone like that, because at least Mick West had the wisdom to know once the Black Swan came out to dip the hell out of the conversation.
Yeah, he got right out of town, didn't he?
Yeah, so anyone that hung around after the Black Swan, right, they are the dregs. They are the people who don't have, that they don't have enough. Nathan, Nathan, you can put this better than me. I'll put the words together. What the people that hung around, not Mick West, who didn't hang around, and after a couple of years, cats disappeared too. So you could say Mick West and conspiracy cats are a little bit ahead of the rest of them, right? But Mick West especially. What makes Mick West different from the others, Nathan? Those who hung around afterwards.
I think he cared a bit less. That was my only attitude when I was dealing with Mick West. He just seemed to be a bit more indifferent to it, as in he didn't really care. I don't know what you're asking me.
Let's put it this way. Let's put it this way. Yeah, his comprehension. Yes, almost absolutely done. But let's put it into a kind of a dodgy analogy, right? Let's make it the girlfriend, right, or the girl who decides she's not going to put up with this abuse, right?
Oh, I see where you're going. Okay, I got you.
So she becomes worth more to the guy who was abusing him. Go on.
Well, no, you just don't introduce a new metaphor, right? If we go back to the man pissing on another man's back, right? If that's Mick West, he's not doing it because he is trying to convince himself it's raining. He's doing it because it's just a job that he's been set to do that day. You know what I mean? He'll get it done and then he'll move on to the next thing he's got to get done. In other words, and the fact that there's people looking at him with disdain or that he has to do it at all, kind of all inconsequential to Mick West. That was the impression that he gave me.
John is correct when he said comprehension level. But he comprehends the situation, not to the degree you do, John, and not to the degree you did do on the day. But he comprehends it enough to know that it's not worth hanging around in this arena after that point. He knows that. So he's a little bit ahead of the rest, I have to say. Now, Brian Potts didn't get involved at all, right? But he was in a more favoured position than Mick West. But Mick West knew to leave in 2020. That means he's a bit ahead of the rest of them. He's not going to put up with this abuse, whereas the rest of them, they run at the abuse.
Yeah, they don't necessarily know. You don't know that you're a pawn until you've been taken. So in the case of the opponents on our side, and by our side I mean the ball side, right? We're all with them, right? We all understand how the ball gets created with flat Earth measurements of the surface of Earth that's flat. So we're kind of on their side. But they don't know that they're going to be the ones struck down as the ones that are going to be hated. You know, the Mick Wests who've stepped away and the Coxes and the untouchables, if let's just call them, right? They're not going to take any flack. So do you think Neil deGrasse Tyson's suddenly going to come under fire? By the time anybody cares, can moan about it, the next generation of, you know, up-and-coming youth just appreciate Earth for what it is as they come up through their education system, whatever it may be, right? They're not going to look at the generation, 2 generations above them and suddenly hate on them like we potentially could be hating on Neil deGrasse Tyson. They're just not going to do it. They're just going to recognise the Earth for what it is. And the rest of the people who've spent the, 2 or 3 generations in between expressing their hatred, just chewed up their lives expressing their hatred. You just spent your life pissing on other people's backs, didn't you? Yeah? I try and wander off. Yeah? Now, unfortunately, I'll wander off, and I'll be doing something that's very pleasurable and enjoyable. Today I was picking blackberries with my kids in the park, and it was fantastic. Life's great, right? Fresh fruit. But other people, they're just looking, where can I find that Nathan? And I want to piss down his back again, right? Now, when you get old, you'll look back at your life and just realise that you spent a lot of time pissing on other men's backs. And what did it achieve? Yeah, everyone already thought they were on a ball. Did you need to spend that as your life's endeavour? You're not going to look back and think, what a twat. I wasted it all convincing people they were on a ball. Now, if you're wrong, that's like, again, really embarrassing, but who cares if you just spent your life convincing people of the opposite? And if you were right, they already thought it anyway. Now, by contrast, I know that the world sees the world completely arse about face and backwards and wrong. And, God help me if I can't help myself tell him that, you're wrong. It's not a ball. That's nonsense. I don't know why we were indoctrinated with this garbage, but we were. It's measured flat. But what's that? You think I'm an idiot and should drink bleach? Okay, yeah, I've been doing this long enough to know that's a fair enough reaction. I don't know why you've decided to react like that to me. But if you get to old age, and again, this is reflective of my father passing recently, and get to the stage where you look back on your life's work and you're Craig McNeil, you spent your life bracing against people who said that the world wasn't the standard rhetoric of the world. And that's your achievements. Okay. If you're gonna happily look back on your life in 20 years from now, Craig, and now take this as the most valuable information you will ever receive in your short life, right? If 20 years from now you can look back on your fighting of the flat Earth as being a worthy endeavour, even if the world does or doesn't think they're on a ball at the end of that process, if you see that as worthy, mate, good for you. But me, I mean, I'm a YouTuber. I love doing YouTubing. It's what I trained for in college. I learned how to do all the technical stuff to do it. And my motivation for an evergreen subject in terms of what Earth is, if I'd have found out halfway through this 10-year endeavour that Earth was actually a ball, I'd still be able to do the subject, wouldn't I? I'd just be on Craig's side, like believing it was a ball. I can't phrase it any other way because it isn't measured as a ball. But that might have been where the journey took me. And then I'd be into the evergreen subject of how Earth's a ball, making money talking about Earth being a ball. Because it was, and it was measured as such. Now, it isn't. And as luck may have it, yeah, it's still evergreen, but you're censored in that evergreen subject. I didn't know that was where I would be. But I'm still happy. I'm just about scraping by. I'm just about covering my mortgage. Just about. With a lot of work. But I'm proud of what I'm achieving. I'm proud of my kids. No, I don't beat them. No, I'm not a shyster. No, I'm not a scammer. No, I'm not trying to con anybody out of anything. And no, I'm not bleeding lying to you about Earth being measured flat when I say your ball belief comes from those measurements. Yeah, all of the previous statements, you can believe the contrapositive if you wish. But that's just an ad hominem. Doesn't change what Earth actually is. Now, if it's the quote-unquote awful truth of a flat Earth that's measured, just deal with it. Don't go looking for men to piss down their backs. You'll just waste your life and it's short.
Well, it's like this. When 2020 came along and the Black Swan came, that was the guy saying to the girl, listen, I need you to start doing this kind of thing for me now with the car battery, because that's how I really want to get off, right? And she goes, no, that's Mick West. The other girls went, yes. And it just got more and more depraved from 2020 to now. Do you know what I mean? So all these other ballers, the more they come back and they think that they're trying to make themselves believe that when they're pissing down your back, that it is raining. What's really happening is they're just allowing you to treat them worse and worse and worse. That's what that is. So that's what they are. They are those girls who have no self-esteem left. No, who won't listen, who just do those things. Even though they're advised not to. Even by the guy, and they still do them. And the guy loses all respect for him. And just it gets more and more extreme. That's who they are. Whereas Mick West said, you're not doing that to me. I won't stand for this. And left in 2020. Because he has self-esteem.
I dread to think what goes on in Ireland.
I use those analogies because they're Nathan's favourite analogies.
Yes, we're not doing a video.
Good morning, folks.
Up chocolate.
Yo.
No, but at this stage, it's... Sorry, Neil, go on.
No, I'm just like chocolate. No, we read them loud and clear.
At this stage,
Cool.
it's what... Sorry. 1 second. Go on, Tom.
Nah, you're good, man. I was just responding to you.
At this stage, it's about what else are they going to allow me to do to them? That's how it feels for me. What other type of abuse are the ballers going to allow me to give them? It feels like I'm abusing them. That's what it feels like at this stage. What else are they going to allow me to do? You know, how depraved are they going to allow me to get before they walk away? Because at this stage, they're craving it. They want it. They're looking for me to make new videos. There must be time for a new video, Brian. I literally get that comment. Now, that's also because they want to get away from the video I currently have there, or whatever the video at the time is. But they're looking for more abuse. It is like I am the narcissist in this relationship, and they are the empaths. There's no ifs, buts, or maybes about that. Don't put that out there because that gives me a little snark.
Hey, Chocolate, did you ever read the comments in Brian's videos? He is the #1 hated Flat
I
Earth
have
provider
before,
of videos. Brian literally drives them up a wall.
yeah, I've seen it. It's actually kind of funny how much he triggers them. So keep doing what you're doing. Beautiful.
I think
Oh,
YouTube
I
are happy
will.
though, because 100 new accounts are made every day just to comment on your channel.
And
Yeah,
they
there's
never
constantly
address
new
it.
accounts. Sorry, Neil.
I'm just saying they never address the video. They come up with their own nonsense.
Oh, it's Red Herring Central or lies or whatever rubbish. The taintment of the truth of the past. Whatever rubbish. It's anything but address the truth. Address the facts in the video or whatever. They won't do
Oh my
it.
God, they do address it. They do address it. Sometimes they make it even worse. You know,
That's the thing, John. When they do address it, exactly, they actually make the situation worse themselves when they do address it. Because I had a guy who came to me in anger and told me I was wrong when I showed a 100-mile measurement, straight line horizontal measurement to Mount Everest, right? He said it wasn't from 100 miles away in the Kathmandu Valley. It was actually from 150 miles away, and he gave me some information. But that's not helping you. You actually made it worse, right? But you couldn't handle, right? You had to somehow show I was wrong about something. So you're going to prove the flat out even more. That's what you're going to do, just to somehow character assassinate me.
That happened to me in chat. The guy said 100 miles is nothing on a globe.
100 miles of horizontal. Because it's not just straight, it's in the orientation of horizontal, which is a constant. This is the thing. We're not just talking about a straight line. That's something that already can't exist on a globe. We're talking about the orientation of horizontal. Now that makes it a lot worse because it's not just straight, it's horizontal.
Right. 66 people watching, so please share the show if you've just got here. It's far enough away from my intro for me to encourage those of you who are here to do exactly that. And given that typically we have had lower numbers than 66, and there's a good chance the only reason we've got 66 watching is because someone's already smashed that share button. So thank you very much if you are that person. Probably only singular. But if you haven't done so already, please smash the share button. That's how we'll get up to 100 if we do get there by the end of the hour. So hopefully we will. I've been chatting for 50 minutes already. Man, time flies when you're having fun, doesn't it? Do you want to have a look at this?
Show on Neil's video.
I was going to say, do you want to have a look at it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Neil really wants us to play it.
I remember dialoguing with a flat earther one time who was billeting me. And what he showed me was a square-shaped outline surrounding a concave, circular-shaped Earth inside of it. Essentially, his diagram looked like a pizza box with a circular pizza inside. And because of his insistence on interpreting both passages in an absolute literal sense.
I mean, because of his insistence on presenting models that look like pizza pies, when the guy's probably not a cartographer, he's probably not made a single measurement of Earth. But then, you know, cut to the edited video, and we've got sailing. Okay, so we're going to talk about navigation with boats, sextants, measuring a flat Earth with elevation angles. And we're going to talk about distances, because distances are linear, they're flat. What about travel in any direction with respect to the compass that's flat? I mean, everything that we're going to talk about is going to be flat Earth-centric, because that's how we measure Earth. But how do we present this on the video? Well, there's some numpty that's offered me a model that looks like a pizza. So we're into what the guy, as an individual, says Earth would be in his model format. Now, in the pre-show, we're talking about, I can't remember, somebody who's perceivably on our own side on the flat Earth, calling me an idiot because I say Earth's measured flat. Well, they present their full dichotomy globe model versus flat Earth model. Yeah, it's the immediate straw man that they want to burn. This man says we've got a pizza pie model. No, well, I don't say that. I say Earth's measured flat.
Well, the scripture that he's referencing, Nathan, is the one where it's God will call him from the four corners of the earth. So that's the scripture that the guy's referencing.
Well, I didn't even mention the scripture, and intentionally so, Neil, because I don't care. The scripture's irrelevant. the surface of the Earth that's being depicted on screen with a boat is going to be measured flat, travelled flat. It's just flat. There's nothing else to discuss, so I don't need to reference any scripture. I'm not pouring scorn on any Bible believers when I say that. I'm just saying it's completely benign. I find it an insult to Christianity, frankly, and I'm not even a Christian. I wouldn't even go around calling myself what people find themselves, estimating themselves to be Christians as, right? Now, that doesn't mean I didn't give my heart to Jesus. It means that I feel ashamed of the people who go around calling themselves Christians by the standards that they hold themselves to. It's like, this is an insult. I think God was concerned enough about the surface, the topography that we're measuring flat, to point out that it's flat. We're utilising it flat. It's an insult to God. That's what it is. You're going to drag this into the biblical... You're going to drag this nonsense waffle into biblical analysis. It's an insult to Christianity, frankly.
But that's what this whole thing is. That's the only reason I'm bringing it up. If somebody's listening, they're just going to hear the guy say scripture and nothing.
The diagram he's
Resulted in a
referring to. Sorry, the diagram he's referring to. We've all seen. It's like a depiction of nearly like a Colosseum out with four pillars. And it's often attributed to Egypt for some reason. I don't know what. That's what he's referring to.
Solution which made no sense whatsoever, he was forced to and succeeded in modifying his worldview overnight.
Was the Bible a picture book? I'm sorry. I'm from the South. Can't read so good. But I didn't know the Bible was a picture book. Cool deal.
Just so we sort of don't bury the headline, it's just put up final experiment. Okay, the final experiment was just a series of flat Earth measurements made in a place that was travelled to across a flat plain on an aeroplane that measured the surface level and its height above whilst travelling to it in a southward direction, which is flat. So you travel to a place with respect to a flat plane that's been measured, mapped, and surveyed flat, and described with respect to sea level, surface level, and parallel eye level when in straight and level flight. When arriving in a south, that's flat, direction, you then proceed to make multiple flat Earth measurements and call them experiments, and suggest finality. Now, not only were they not experiments, as hopefully is abundantly clear from my last few sentences, they weren't final. These idiots are still here, suggesting new final experiments. Yeah, Will Duffy is an idiot. To put the word final was an embarrassment to Will Duffy, because there's nothing final about it, and there was nothing experimental about it. All it did was measure a flat Earth in multiple different ways. That's what the, quote, flat Earth experiment, end quote, actually was. Multiple flat Earth measurements is what it should be called. Final experiment, definitely not.
Recently, a real-time experiment called the Final Experiment.
No. Who's this idiot? You're wrong. Experiments are the establishment of cause and effect reasoning based on hypothesis after observing natural phenomena. Step 1 in the scientific method. Observe a natural phenomena and then formulate a prediction, that's hypothesis, for the cause of the phenomena. That's hypothesis construction. Actualization of hypothesis is experiment. That's to say you vary and manipulate that what you assume causes the effect you observed at step 1 to see if it causes or not. That's an experiment. What they did in Antarctica was measure Earth flat. Now, I have pointed this out on no less than 103 occasions to one of the participants in this flat Earth measurement falsely called a final experiment. Because that's what it was. A flat Earth measurement. Now, you don't have to like this if you're listening in and you think it's a ball. Feel free to believe it's a ball based on the fact it's not flat because you measure Earth flat. because that's what's actually occurred in this so-called experiment. Okay? Now, this guy doesn't know what an experiment is, or he wouldn't have falsely attributed it in the title like he's just done.
Was performed in Antarctica and organized by a pastor named...
Ged?
Sorry. I'll just say that I don't think they could have come up with a better name than that. I'm happy that they called it that, because look what they're doing. Like you said, they're still here. They're still coming up with more final experiments. You can't make this shit up, man. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's idiotic. You know, you put the word final in. Hello, Numpty. Why are you still here then? Dum-dum. What are you doing? Wasn't it final? Oh, right. There was no finality to it because you measured Earth flat down there, and I've had to point it out 103 times to one of the participants. What's that? Where are the guns? Who cares? Bunch of idiots.
The final experiment 2. That's what's going on now.
that last video we covered by them, I think, was called the final experiments, plural. Is that actually possible?
It's just ludicrous. Everything about it makes them sound like idiots. It's not an experiment. It wasn't final. They're still here, and they've come up with some new final experiments, part 2. This time it's personal.
Yeah, they're really burying themselves, aren't they?
Will Duffy and conduct...
Yeah, we're still here. We didn't change our minds. What we did was point out 103 times to one of the participants that they measured Earth flat. And in real time, while it was live, I pointed out that the guy with the bug eyes was levelling his tool to a plane of reference perpendicular to it to weigh things. That required a flat Earth. So there was flat Earth measurements galore. They were pointed out in real time, live. And then when called by one of these guys, you know, earlier I was describing people that chase you around the stadium, pissing down your back and saying it's raining. Yeah, that was McToon, who proactively contacted me from Antarctica live. And when I told him that he'd measured Earth flat, he, quote, said, "You tried to deflect with measurements," because he'd put the phone down on me and asked where the guns were. Now, subsequently, 6 months later, Adam found that there's people that have been, like, stopped from going to Antarctica, but when they went, they were then removed by people who were armed because they weren't supposed to be there. It wasn't like the trip that the guys who went to measure Earth flat down there, down being a southward flat Earth direction only, that they assumed was down. Yeah, those guys, yeah, they had the passes and all the forms were filled out, so there was no guns for them. But next man in line definitely was taken away by men with guns. So, Toon, we got to the bottom of your first problem. Where are the guns? Didn't take long. 6 months later, someone was taken away at gunpoint because they landed in Antarctica when they shouldn't, unlike you stupid urinating numpty. But meanwhile, you phoned me proactively from Antarctica and I pointed out that you measure Earth flat there and your concern was with guns. Well, we solved the first one. Guns, we found them, okay? Now the second part. They tried to deflect with measurements. No, I'm still here. There was nothing final about your trip other than us pointing out that you measured Earth flat multiple different ways. So those are the measurements I tried to deflect with. The guns have been found, though. We're all clear the guns have been found. The measurements are still flat, though. Dead.
I have a new final experiment for them. What we're going to do is we're going to go, this is a different one. We're going to go and measure the emperor's clothes, right? So we're going to take a ruler and measure his penis, and we're going to calculate how much fabric needs to go around that area.
Seems only reasonable.
Final experiment.
I think it's only fair. We should seek out the idiots who say the emperor has no clothes and point out that they should not breed and should potentially be finding out how gravity works from the tops of buildings.
Well, Nathan, you got it one thing wrong. You said MC Theon was shouting at you, "Where are the guns, Nathan?" No, that's not what he was shouting at you. He was saying, "Tell me it's raining, Nathan. Tell me it's raining." That's what he was saying.
The guns were also found recently by the chap who was flying around the world, and he went down to Antarctica. I think they pointed some guns at him.
Yeah, just said that. I literally just pointed that out like 35 seconds ago.
Sorry,
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. The Chilean government. He wanted off course.
So fair enough. You're probably dealing with more important things like customers as opposed to the discussion.
But Nathan, that's why we can abuse them, because as long as we tell them it's raining, that's why we can abuse them. Keep telling them it's raining, and they'll do anything for you.
Yeah, I've walked off to the other side of the stadium, but they're going to come back to me to say, you know that final experiment? There's another one.
Tell me it's raining, Nathan. Tell me it's raining.
Exactly.
Is it first to the equatorial plane wins?
Yes, exactly. Right, on
So
screen
then
now, we've got
changing the word. Sorry, can we change the word final to, well, the one before final, because like curved and horizontal is curved, final isn't quite final.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because Nathan, they need to know that they're not pissing down your back. That was a very good point. That's what they need to know. They need you to come to reaffirm for them that they're not pissing down your back. Because if the truth comes out that they are pissing down your back, that means that the truth is not on their side. So they need you to tell them it is raining at that point for the abuse to continue.
Conducted by a group that included 4 flat earthers and 4 globe earthers, so everyone could see the results with their own eyes and then report on what they observed.
Yeah, I did it live. So I reported live while they were doing it that they were measuring Earth flat with elevation angle measurements to the sun. I was told that I'd been saying there's something about guns based on a comment in a video from about 9 years ago. I haven't. I mean, literally this man, McToon, has heard it 103 times from me now. The 100th rendition, this isn't just some word spin, it's not an exaggeration. He literally got told it for the 100th time by me whilst in Antarctica. So you're suggesting that, oh, all right, it's final, we figured it out like the experiment suggests, right? And you could have reacted to, yeah, I did. My name is Nathan Oakley. I'm the one that had my name screamed into the snow by one of the participants. I reacted to it in real time and pointed out Earth was being measured flat. Reaction, quote, he tried to deflect with measurements. He's been saying to his audience in 2008 that there's guns that will stop. Yeah, there is. Yeah, just recently someone was stopped at gunpoint. You bunch of idiots. Meanwhile, the deflection to measurements bit, let's just focus on that. Now we've dealt with the guns. You bunch of idiots. Yeah, we found the guns. Now we just need to focus on the measurements, don't we? They're flat. I pointed it out in real time. I got a phone call. A man literally went out of his way to call me from Antarctica. They were so keen to get my opinion on it. They proactively contacted me from there. I feel privileged. Thanks, Toon. Thanks for proactively contacting me from Antarctica and measuring a flat Earth. Yeah? You all got to hear of it immediately from me. And then my name echoed around the Antarctic Peninsula. Not metaphorically echoed, literally. My name echoed as it was yelled by McToon after I, quote, deflected to measurements of a flat Earth that they all made there. Multiple flat Earth measurements were taken. That's right.
This was mainly done to demonstrate the truth regarding the Earth's shape.
And it did. They measured it flat. Well done, lads.
To the flat Earth community around the globe. Pun intended.
Imagine being able to build anything just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44.
Yeah, there you go. See that? The flat Earth community, whatever that is, around the globe. This is
hilarious.
All they got. This is it, right? The continual promotion of something that they believe in, that they need you to reaffirm for them. It is raining, ruffles the hair. You understand that reference, Nathan, don't you? It is raining, ruffles the hair. Right? That is what he needs. He needs you to tell him it is raining and ruffle his hair. He's a good fella. Hockey going. That's what he needs. When he's using the term globe. It's when I hear that, I just know when I hear that, I go, we have absolutely won. The more I hear that term, it's like the saying, ye have won. It's over, ye won. That's what it means to me when I hear that term, globe or globe.
Look how we put it. Look how we put it. He said this was the way to establish the shape of the earth. So okay, not actually measure the shape of the earth. You want to go somewhere to look at the light in the sky? Think that's what you do.
Yeah, south to flat Earth only direction.
Are you saying, Nathan?
The trip was to determine whether.
Sorry.
Are
you saying, Nathan, that if you're traveling south, then you can only travel that direction in a horizontal orientation?
Yes, south is a horizontal direction.
Okay. But that would mean it isn't raining, Nathan.
That's right. When somebody says I'm travelling south, and that means I'm going to the bottom of a ball, I assume is antipodal from where I began, and then travelled in a flat Earth only, flat Earth describable, flat Earth orientated direction that's flat on a compass, utilisable on a flat map, then that's them pissing down our backs when they say, to affirm a globe, I'm going to travel in a flat Earth only direction. Yeah, it's idiotic when we assess it. But this man's going to think that he's being clever when he says, yeah, these flat earthers all around the globe. Oh, no, amusing. No, you're not. You're just idiotic because you're describing something that is only capable of description with respect to a flat earth and then saying it affirms the ball. It's idiotic. On a base level. Stupid.
Whether the phenomenon called the midnight sun, a day consisting of a full 24 hours of sunlight, was real or not. Because
what, we didn't see it 10 years ago when we tracked the sun live? I saw it 10 years ago when I tracked the sun live and debunked the straw man version of a flat earth in the form of an azimuthal equidistant North Pole centric globe projection that they said was the flat earth that must work with the sun in terms of the tracking of it. I made no buts or maybes of what they measured Earth to be when they measured the Earth to be flat with the angles of the sun with respect to a flat planar surface for 24 hours. That's still a flat Earth measurement. They still arrived with respect to their southward direction that's only capable of description on a flat Earth, and they remained in straight and level flight above the measured and mapped flat surface that we describe with sea level. That's all flat Earth prerequisites and flat Earth journeys and flat Earth flights above sea level in straight and level flight. That's all flat Earth confirming before they even step foot on the Antarctic Peninsula to then move forward inside Antarctica to level their tools and measure perpendicular to a planar surface for angles to the sun. So we've got multiple flat Earth prerequisites in the form of the journey and directionality and linear distances that they travelled and straight and level flights that they achieved their journey's ends by, and then multiple flat Earth measurements of weights and angles. Basically, everything they did confirmed beyond all doubt Earth is a planar surface that's been measured and utilised, flown over. So what was the argument again? Oh, there isn't one. You just need to take all those facts and suggest that, but people around the ball I believe in, therefore. Like he did with his little humorous aside that wasn't very funny.
Flat earthers maintained the idea was impossible according to their flat earth models.
No, we pointed out that it's a straw man false dichotomy that affirms the consequent for both globe-centric models, one azimuthal equidistant, one non-existent globe. Neither mean that we're not going to be measuring a flat surface, as we pointed out. So when you straw man us, you're a liar. You stereotype what flat earthers did. No. If you're going to suggest that the stereotypable flat earther is the one that is going to be talked about with reference to Antarctica, talk about the only one that was contacted from Antarctica while it took place. That's me. I'm the only flat earther that was proactively contacted from Antarctica. Yet you strawman me with suggestions that I suggested this false dichotomy I pointed out multiple times. Gave us a conclusive result either way. No, I point out Earth's measured flat. I pointed out to one of the participants, the same one who echoed my name around the Antarctic snow, if we are to believe they were actually there. Yeah? No, you can't use this lie, sir. Is this man a Christian? I condemn you to hell, you scum liar. If you knew anything about the subject, you'd know it'd be my name resonating around the Antarctic snow when I, quote, deflected to measurements, sir. So don't strawman me with this crap. This is the suggestion the one globe-believing side put forth and was immediately within a heartbeat debunked by us here at Flat Earth Debate, the only people proactively contacted from Antarctica. So yeah, I suggest you pay more attention to the only flat earthers who were contacted, or more specifically, the individual flat earther who was contacted from that snow. That's me, when you strawman us and suggest that all flat earthers believe this crap. No, we debunked it instantly, sir, as a false dichotomy, affirming the consequent for two models. One of which I debunked 10 years ago based on your false premise that we don't have a 24-hour sun. I observed it! I filmed it! It's right on my channel. It's pinned in the main homepage. It's called Tracking the Sun on a Flat Earth Live. I was acutely aware of a 24-hour sun in the north and the inconsequential nature of measuring Earth flat in the south, a flat-only direction, didn't change what I pointed out while they were there. Not suggested it, not sent a text message, not snail mail. I verbally told them while they were on the snow. You're measuring Earth flat. That's what I told them. Will it get addressed? No, these Christian liars who are condemning themselves to purgatory. You'll belong in hell if you maintain this lie, sir. I want his name. What's this man's name? I was the only flat earther contacted. He's just said by stereotype fallacy that I bought into the false dichotomy. No, sir. Lest you be condemned to hell, you'll get on your knees and acknowledge the flat earth surface level that was measured for the angles. You'll get on your knees and acknowledge the perpendicular horizontal measured in the downward orientation for weight. And you'll get on your knees and acknowledge the sea level and parallel surface level, eye level circumstance that the plane relies on to remain in straight and level flight. Before you suggest that I bought the false dichotomy, we pointed out as false immediately when it was suggested. Pointed out that the charlatans and con men claiming experiments that I pointed out when you use those words. So what are you doing? Call yourself a Christian. The least you can do is represent me correctly. I was the only flat earther contacted. Make no mistake.
Prior to the experiment.
Go
ahead, Brian.
Sorry, he's not going to do that. He's going to try and attack the weakest position he can find to attack. And that means that, like, if you think about it, for all the people like him who do that in videos, as soon as anyone who's heard those videos comes across anyone who's been in and around the vicinity of FED, suddenly they're going to know that these people either didn't research correctly or chose the lower hanging fruit, the weak position to attack. But my point is, instantly people like him become liars or incapable of researching. As soon as anyone comes across someone who is not saying the rubbish that he's strawmanning us with.
Yeah, he started out with this guy, so not with a name.
Yep.
Midnight sun occurs because of how the Earth's axis tilts as it orbits the sun.
The axis of rotation is described perpendicular to a plane of reference. That plane of reference, if describable from within the ball, would be the equatorial plane at vernal equinox only in this description. Now, because he's just launched into this, it's only capable of being really levelled at him as a begging the question fallacy, because he's just a parrot, isn't he? This man has no idea how the surface level of Earth is measured to acquire the elevation angles to Polaris to create a system on a flat plane that we can describe from within a ball after the model has been created, and is then only capable of describing from within the ball on the asymptotically flat plane that orbital motion takes place on. Now, us, as learned globe believers, if you will, can describe the flat Earth that's measured to create this model. This man can just beg the question and parrot nonsense. He has no idea how it works. So it's not fair. Go ahead, Brian.
No, I'm not any part of any globe believer. I don't know what you meant. Don't involve me in that nonsense. And no, in astronomy and celestial navigation, they always end up at the equatorial plane of the globe at vernal equinox, which extends the equatorial plane out into the celestial plane, right? Then makes it stationary and the celestial bodies move. So his tilt rubbish, right? That is all mathematically done away with vernal equinox. There is no tilt at vernal equinox, and there is no equatorial plane with a radius of 3959 miles.
Exactly.
And there is no rotation.
Yes.
So,
but the tilt is described from vernal equinox, is what Nathan was saying.
Yes.
Well, the tilt is a back engineering of reality. Put onto a globe. Back engineering of reality made into a globe. That's what the tilt is. The tilt is then removed at vernal equinox.
The 23.4 or the 66.6, whether vertical to horizontal, you need the equinox for that.
Yeah, with the vernal equinox, which mathematically removes any tilt of the globe. And globe, it removes the globe too. Technically, removes the globe completely.
Yeah, Nathan covered that with asymptotically flat.
Not really, no, because you're then going into bringing general relativity and stuff into it. No. All of that is removed.
No. Nothing to do with general relativity. If you take the plane,
flat is talking about.
I'm agreeing with you. I'm agreeing with you, Brian. When you describe it without any tilt, you're starting with the plane, and it's extended out through the sun as an asymptotically flat plane. But then you can mathematise the description of the minusing it from 66.6 from the horizontal. The degree of tilt comes from a starting point that is vernal equinox. In other words, we're agreeing. You're saying there isn't any at vernal equinox. Well, we're essentially saying the same thing then.
Yeah, it's just like vernal equinox, and the use of vernal equinox removes all heliocentrism and globe. Gone. Over. Gone. That's the point. So there is no this element or that element. Tilt of anything. It's gone. We're back at reality.
Yeah, but once they engineer it in, once they start to move forward and engineer in things like the tilt, it's an engineering from the maths that starts at vernal equinox. In other words, that's the only point that you would say it would be capable of being even remotely described as correct. So that's the only point in the year that it would be correct for a heliocentric motion mathematically. But all the derivations thereafter in heliocentric motion come from vernal equinox, don't they? That's the only point.
No, every day is vernal equinox.
Well, yeah, every day. That's another way of putting it. Every day is vernal. I like that. You got a good turn of phrase today. Every day is vernal equinox. It isn't, but it is in heliocentrism.
Yeah, it has to be, which means that every day it's not a globe.
Awesome. I'm going to round out. Is there anything anyone else wants to add to this? I know we've only covered the first minute and 30 seconds, but that's life. No? Neil?
That's because you guys don't shut up.
Neil?
Well, I want to point out that the picture book that is the Bible can't be wrong. Therefore, the pictures they showed prove it's a flat plane.
Yeah, well, that's the problem, isn't it? They didn't go to the Bible. They're going what the guy depicted it in his picture. Not in the Bible, what the guy drew. You know, that's going to be what they stand by.
Okie dokie then. Any more? No? With that, I'll say if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premium Streams, then stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So, another massive thank you to all of you who liked, commented, shared, subscribed, joined as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley. Another massive thank you to today's Discord and G+ panels, and I will see you all in the next video.